Yes. I also believe a part of the solution is also awareness. How do we get aware about all of this? And I want to ask everybody here, because all of you are distinguished members in your field. For someone who's listening to this out there, how do we make them aware of stuff like this, like the knowledge that you have, with something like this? What do we read to? Oh, sorry about that. What do we read? What do we watch? I also want to come to you, all of you, also as well. In terms of the kind of media you consume, because I feel ultimately we are an amalgamation of the media that we consume. So if you had to give us, say, a few Netflix recommendations or some recommendations of things we can watch, creators we can follow, because today a large amount of our thought process is influenced by influencers or content creators, and some of them are great with what they say. So do you have any recommendations on the whole, through mainstream media, art, journalism, anyone that we can follow? What are your recommendations to get ourselves a little more aware?
So I think the word influencer is really interesting, because I think that today when we think of influencers, we think of the numbers of followers that they have. And I don't believe that's influencing. I think that there are so many other people that probably have less followers but are influencing in the way they present themselves and the things that they want to say. So I don't think that influencers just come from social media. I think influencers are you, all of us, right? That have something to say. And I was just going to say what you said, like Made in Heaven, there's Mismatch. There's so many other stories that are coming out in India and around the world about these topics. But I think when I was growing up, I didn't see any representation of myself when I was in Canada, and also my LGBTQ friends as well on television. And that's why maybe I got into film, because I kind of wanted to break that thing. Like even when I get roles, right? Like the roles that I get, I was mentioning this to you yesterday, when I'm in Canada, I get like South Asian roles that are so stereotypical, that's written by like Brian or John. And then when I'm in India, I get roles that are like, I speak fluent Hindi with no accent, but yet because I'm an NRI, I would get roles that are like, oh, thoda zyada accent karke bolo isko. And I'm like, what? And they're like, no, do it again. Zyada aur zyada. And I'm like, just speak in English. And I'm like, why? So it creates also this massive identity crisis as well, right? So because of that reason, because there's no representation, I took it upon myself, and I think a lot of people do take it upon themselves to bring our stories forward by writing our own stories. That's the only way that we'll be able to see ourselves on screen represented well, and I think that would create, even for the future generation when they look up, we created that path for them.